Hello, purpose questions reading section. If you have not watched the previous video, skill number 7, inference questions, I strongly recommend that you watch that because purpose questions are a kind of inference questions. I will explain the skills here, but still, they are similar. Knowing inference questions helps a lot with understanding purpose questions. So what is happening here? Here we have a question, but the answer is not directly stated. We're going to get the answer indirectly from the passage. For example, question number 1, why does the author mention the physical sciences in paragraph 1? So in paragraph 1, we have physical sciences, but the question says, why does the author mention that? But the answer is not in the passage. The answer is not written like the author is mentioning this because da. That is not the case. We are going to read the text. We are going to read the text and we are going to guess and understand and infer what the author's purpose is. So the purpose is not directly stated, which is why I say this is an inference question. So there are 3 types of purpose questions. Number 1, this is an example of type 1. What is the author's purpose in including X in the paragraph? So here we have here we have a keyword, right? So this is exactly the question that we saw. Like, why does the author mention X, whatever that X is? Here it is physical sciences, keyword, key phrase. Other variations of this type is the author mentions X in paragraph 2 in order to, or the author uses X as an example of which of the following, or why does the author mention X? All are type 1. Type 2, what is the author's purpose or aim in including paragraph 2? You see, here we don't have a keyword. Here we are asked, why did the author mention or include paragraph 2 in this passage? Here you should have a holistic approach. We will talk about the details, how we should answer these questions. Type 3. What is the author's purpose or aim in writing the passage? This is the most annoying type for some people because it's asking about the purpose of the whole passage. But actually, I think this question is easy, the 3rd type. You will see why. Okay, type 1, how to answer it. Now, we said in type 1, you have a keyword or key phrase. Why does the author mention X in the passage? How do we answer that? Step number 1. Scan for the highlighted part and read that part and the surrounding sentences. Mostly, the previous sentence contains the purpose. Ask yourself how the highlighted information is related to the context around it. And pay attention, by highlighted part, we mean the keywords. In question that I showed you in the beginning, the question was this: why does the author mention the physical sciences? You see, the physical sciences is highlighted in the passage. You go to the passage, you see that that part is highlighted. That's what we mean by the highlighted part. Number 2, pay attention to transitions and connecting words that could point to the purpose. If the highlighted part is in the last sentence of the paragraph, read the first sentence of the next paragraph as well, because there are usually connections between the paragraphs. If it's in the last paragraph, most probably there should be a connection between that paragraph and the next one, so find out that connection. Step 4. Make an inference about why the author included the information. Select the answer that is closest in meaning to your inference. That is important. Again, the answer is not in the passage. You are trying to get something out of it. Type 2. We said in type 2, they say, what is the author's purpose or aim in including paragraph 2? Here we are asked about the purpose of the whole paragraph. Let's say paragraph 2. What are the steps? Number 1, identify the main idea of the paragraph by reading the introductory sentences. Usually, the main idea of a paragraph is stated in the first or second sentence. So that it's wise to read the beginning of the paragraph carefully. Then, skim the rest of the paragraph to confirm the main idea. Let's say you found the main idea in the first 2 sentences. Still, skim through the paragraph to see whether that is really the main point, the main idea. Step 3, check the paragraph before and after for additional clues. If necessary, check the thesis statement. And you know that thesis statement is the main summary sentence of the entire passage, which is located in the introduction paragraph. Step 4. Infer why the author included the paragraph. If in doubt, choose an answer that relates to the main idea of the paragraph. So this way you can understand why the author mentions a certain paragraph in the passage. Let's talk about the third type, the type in which we are asked about the purpose of the author about the entire passage. Why did the author write this text? Here, to be able to answer this question, read the first paragraph, that is, introduction. Most probably this will be enough because the thesis, the summary sentence, the main topic of the whole passage is in the introductory paragraph, and the main ideas are usually mentioned there. So this will be enough, most probably. If not, then read the first 2 sentences of each supporting paragraph and read the conclusion. Then you will be able to answer this question. Let's see some questions. Again, we have read this question at least 2-3 times. Why does the author mention the physical sciences in paragraph 1? So where is it? In the passage, that part is already highlighted, physical sciences. So let's read the sentence containing that keyword. In economics and finance, nothing can be measured with the precision possible in physical sciences. Let's read the following sentence. However, approximate measurements is often sufficient, as long as the method of measurement remains the same over time. So I don't think we need to go further than this. This, I think, contains all the information we need. Let's start with the first sentence. It says, in economic and finance, nothing can be measured with the precision possible in physical sciences. So let me open the sentence for you. Here we are told that, look, in physical sciences, be it, I don't know, engineering, physics, chemistry, we can measure things precisely in the laboratories with equipment. But in economics and finance, nothing can be measured with this precision. So, conclusion. In physical sciences, we measure things with accuracy, with precision. In finance and economics, we cannot. The next sentence says, however, approximate measurements is often sufficient. The rest we don't need. It says, in economics and finance, our measurements are not accurate, but still, approximate measurements are sufficient. So this is the sentence. So why did the author mention physical sciences? The author is mentioning physical sciences to point out, look, measurements in economics and finance are not as accurate and as sharp as the measurements in the physical sciences. Let's see which choice is closest to our inference. A, to point out that financial measurements are not always precise. Well, yeah, here we have it. The answer is in A. But let's still continue and read BCD to find why they are wrong. B, to compare the physical sciences unfavorably with other sciences. No, we are not comparing physical sciences with other sciences. We are just doing it with economics and finance, so B is entirely wrong. C, to explain why methods of measurements are important in different fields. In the first sentence, we are not talking about methods of measurement. In the first sentence, we are just talking about the accuracy, not method, not approach. And that is not the point the author mentions physical sciences. It's not saying, look, in the physical sciences, we are using quantum precision through atomic microscopy to measure this and that. That's not what we are saying. If the passage mentioned that, then we would have said, well, yeah, there is a methodology here. Maybe C is the answer, but we don't have any methodology. So C is not the point. D, to argue that economics and finance should be considered physical sciences. Terrible, terrible inference, because the passage is not saying that we should consider finance as physical sciences. They are different domains, they are different disciplines. Like, why would you even consider them the same? So, like I said, the answer is already up there. It is A. Question number 2. Why does the author mention the principle of caveat emptor in paragraph 2? As I understand, the phrase caveat emptor is, I think, Latin, so it's not English. It's fine if you don't know the meaning. So let's find caveat emptor and let's see why the author has mentioned it. Okay, the sentence is here. Let's read the entire sentence. Although the accounting profession and government agencies have attempted to reform some of these abuses, now we have these abuses. We have to go one sentence back to understand what these abuses are. So let's go back. This is the previous sentence. Accounting scandals occur because of dishonesty, questionable accounting practices, or outright criminal behavior. So we are saying that in accounting domain, some scandals, some abuses, some bad conduct, some bad happenings are happening. Now, the next sentence. Although the accounting profession and government agencies have attempted to reform some of these abuses, look, so far the sentence says, look, this profession, this domain, the accounting, and government agencies are trying to solve the bad happenings, the abuses, the frauds, the scandals that is happening in this domain, that is in accounting domain. So far we are told this way. The rest of the sentence. The principle of caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. Now, you see there are two long dashes there. That part is the explanation or definition of caveat emptor. Have that in your mind. Whenever we want to add a definition or extra piece of information, we put it between either two commas or between two long dashes, and we call that system appositives. Watch my video on appositive. It's going to help you understand. It's going to help you your writings and your readings as well. So the principle of caveat emptor, what is that principle? The principle that says let the buyer be aware must still guide one's financial transactions. So let me simplify the sentence. The sentence says, look, there are some problems in accounting domain, some financial problems, scandals. But the accounting profession and governments are trying to solve this. But still, the buyers should be careful when they are buying something. They should not trust everyone. They should be in their sound mind and they should analyze everything themselves. So that's why the author is mentioning caveat emptor. The purpose is this: be careful when you buy things. Let's go and see ABCD. Why did the author mention the principle of caveat emptor? A, to recommend that the government review all stock purchases. Well, that's irrelevant. We're not talking about stock purchases. We're talking about something in general, in accounting domain. So I cross it out. 2, to criticize inadequate efforts to stop bad accounting practices. Well, no, the passage actually is not criticizing. The passage is saying that, look, there are some problems, but people are trying to solve this, both governments and agencies. And even in accounting profession, they're trying to solve this. But still, you should be careful. It's not a criticism. C, to argue that buying stock is the best way to make money fast. This is a completely irrelevant sentence. Also, be careful with these words: best, worst, must. These absolute terms. In academic texts, we do our best not to use such absolute terms and statements. So this is, first, for one thing, is irrelevant. The passage is not talking about the stocks being the best money maker. Even if it was, the word best is suspicious. So I'm going to cross it out. D, to warn potential buyers of the possibility of accounting abuses. And there we have it. Here is our answer. The principal caveat emptor is mentioned because the author wants to say that buyers, be careful about the potential possibility of accounting abuses. Now, I'm not going to go to questions 3 and 4. I'm going to skip that part. There is a problematic passage there. I don't want to confuse you. I'm continuing with questions 5, 6, and 7 from this passage. Question 5. Why does the author mention a store clerk and a judge in paragraph 1? Let's see why. Okay, here we have a store clerk and we have the judge. So let's read this sentence to see whether it's going to answer us. A store clerk is expected to take care of customers patiently and politely, and a judge is expected to make wise and fair decisions about laws. Well, yeah, that's what they should do, but the sentence does not answer the question. Why does the author mention it? So we have to go back. The previous sentence, and actually the sentence before that, are saying every culture expects certain types of behavior from people who play certain social roles. Anyone occupying a given position is expected to adopt a specific attitude. So here we are said that, look, in every job, you're having a certain social position and you're expected to have some sort of behavior in accordance with that certain position. Let's say I'm a teacher, I'm an academic teacher. I come to class wearing a backwards hat, speaking like a rapper. You wouldn't feel comfortable, would you? Because from a teacher, you expect certain things. You maybe expect me to dress formally. The general expectation from a teacher is to dress formally, speak politely, and things like this. Or if you're a rapper, you don't expect a rapper to wear suits and talk in a very polite way. That's not how rappers are expected to behave. So the point is this: from every position, people have different expectations. Now the passage gives two examples. It says, well, for example, a store clerk is expected to take care of customers patiently and politely, and a judge is expected to make wise and fair decisions about laws. So what is happening here? The passage says in every position we have different expectations, and then it gives two examples. So what is happening here is that the author gives two examples, store clerk and judge, to say, look, we expect certain behaviors from certain social roles. Do you want to be convinced? Example number one, store clerk, and example number two, a judge. That's why those two professions are mentioned. So 5a, to give examples of people who hold position of respect. Well, no, the point of those examples is not talking about people or position of respect. Cross it out. B, to explain why social roles are important to a society. Well, no, we are not talking about their importance in society. We're talking about the importance of certain roles in certain positions. C, to illustrate the behavior required of certain social roles. Well, perfect. This is the answer. This is what we are looking for. Let's see why D is not the answer. To compare the responsibility of two different positions. No, we are not comparing two professions to responsibilities. Those two examples are given to illustrate the behavior required of certain social roles, period. We want to say, look, from each social position, we might expect different things. From a store clerk, we expect these. From a judge, we expect these. That's why the answer is C. 6. Why does the author use the term key indicators in discussing informal social roles? Let's see where key indicators are in. Here we have it, second sentence. They are key indicators of a group. Well, the sentence starts with they, so we have to go back one sentence to understand what they are. Informal social roles are not always easy to recognize, but can be identified with careful research. So, what is they? Informal social roles. Let me paraphrase this sentence. Informal social roles are difficult to recognize, but still can be recognized through research. They are key indicators of a group's health and happiness. Well, the word key means important, crucial. So if the author is saying they're key indicators, the author wants to emphasize the importance, the significance of those indicators. What are those indicators? Informal social roles. Let's go to the answer choices. A, to identify the most important type of social roles. The passage does not say that they are the most important type. And I told you before, be very careful with extreme and absolute terms. We don't like them. It's rare to see such things in academic writings. So cross it out. And whenever you see such things, just be suspicious. B, to explain how to identify informal social roles. No, the passage was not saying how you should identify. The passage was saying it is difficult. And you can find it through research, but how, the passage does not discuss. It doesn't say how, it just says through research. I don't know how. C, to point out that informal roles are unique to families. Well, nowhere in that part the passage and the writer says this. D, to emphasize the value of informal roles to a group. And here we have it. We used the word key to emphasize the importance or value of a what? Of informal roles into a group, in a society, right? So D is the answer. Question number 7. Which informal social role supports the family by preserving family's culture? So what are we looking for here? The key phrase is preserving family's culture and, of course, informal social roles. Let's go to the passage. And here we have it. It says cultural information. Let's read that sentence. Others are the family arbitrators. That is, the person who keeps the peace. Now, so far, this is irrelevant. I don't care about that. The next part says, and the family historian, often a grandparent, who relays valuable cultural information that maintains both the family and the larger society. So who relays cultural information? The family historian, the grandparent. Who's that grandparent? What is his role or her role? It's family historian. So the answer is C. So fellows, this is the end of this section. I recommend that you do many practices from this question type because, as you see, it's difficult because the answers are not directly stated. They are indirect answers. You're going to go to page 108 to 114 of Delta and do some exercises from that part. Good luck and see you soon.